just the energy so much amplified. And again, why now with this causal chakra, that kind of work? Because again, like mentioned, we are still in between that kind of space of belief system, holding us more still in this old ways of being, old ways of basically acting. And that's why even our parts, inner parts, or our heart already understands, oh, I want to create this kind of new way of being. I'm conscious enough, but very often still in the subconscious space of ours, yeah, this we could say as well, the subconscious mind. There's so many information still there, which we just didn't went really deeply. And that's when we also talk, of course, about shadow work, that why I sometimes fear things I'm not understanding. In even if I go on, I don't know, like on a hill, on a high hill, and then suddenly I feel like fear. Why? Because I'm standing up there. And this is all like still as well from these past experiences are as well still buried. And when we open or more consciously start to connect with the causal chakra, it actually brings in as well the stream of higher understanding why we have these different kind of patterns. So we are not anymore seeing those patterns and these programs and fears and these belief systems as something which trapped us and we can't kind of move out, or we don't know how even to deal with it, because we're looking still from the 3D perspective, from the 3D mind understanding, like, why am I still this and that? Because then you're, of course, or we still in that kind of victim mindset, right? But when we get a higher stream of understanding, and that's why this higher guidance is so pivotal and really important in these times now, then of course it will become almost like that you, as a higher guidance of your own self, taking your hand, taking your hand of this human self, and then basically walk through that fear, through that pattern, and you understand, hey, I'm only here as this soul in this physical body and want to have many different experiences. So I'm not then anymore kind of, hitting constantly into the wall because you're just having constantly the same experiences, and you think, didn't I clear that already? Didn't I understand this already? But again, sometimes it's much deeper than that. It can be ancestral and so on. And I know we are sometimes tired of it. And that's as well when the causal chakra, because it's actually carrying white light, and it's carrying the divine feminine qualities of compassion, love, softness, intuition. When this streams in, then even if we were already tired of this world, of all these loops, etc., we're gonna much more easy start to work with all of these kind of still shadow aspects, or just actually these challenges which will still arise to be illuminated and transformed, and like that, of course, bringing beautiful new growth, soul growth, right? And this is then the path of mastery, which we're all on it right now. And yes, and this beautiful softness is actually the only thing which will now really, as this beautiful tool, help us to face the most hardest challenges. Because imagine how it is when in front of you someone is standing and is, I don't know, screaming at you. Now, of course, if we scream back, we stay in this lower frequency. If we shy away, we stay in the same frequency, because we are then, fearing or not taking our own part of this responsibility of why it was created, etc. But if we can really go into this softness and just basically look at it from this, let's say, higher perspective in that moment, and therefore we need the maturity of being already more in compassion, having this higher understanding, then of course it's much more easier to face that. and understand it's going to just become pretty much more and more intense in these next times ahead. But not just because to say, okay, now we need to be super scared or super prepared. No, because now, as we are more wakening up, as we are more seeing where every little part inside and outside was not anymore in our highest alignment or highest service, yeah, because it really run out, it's outdated, the way of thinking, being, etc. Then, of course, after we recognize it, we basically not then just again fear it or judge it, because then it will be still there, but we have now to do something with it. And this is now this upcoming years to basically clean it up. So first stage is always recognition, yeah, to recognize it. But then again, we have to work with it. More you're awake, easier it is to work with it. Less you are because you were postponing to look at certain things. Of course, it will still keep you in the level of lower consciousness understanding, which means you will judge it. You will say, "Oh my God, didn't I do that already? I'm the poor one. Why me again? I did already everything," and so on. You understand now why it's actually this higher stream so important. But again, we couldn't always access this causal chakra because, again, mindset created belief systems, and it's then like a kind of blockage or like a kind of structure between this world, what you see, what you did, what you created, and actually, let's say now, the other higher version of worlds. And this is actually where we're gonna today basically start to open it, right? Because again, nothing is just overnight. So this work will, in this intensity, open the first gateway. But again, it's still then something which will then just be there as you to use that. Yeah. So you will be more aware. How does it feel when I connect with my causal? How does it feel, its quality? How can I actually connect with it? How can I call it in? And so on. Yeah. And all of this, we're going to go through it today as well in this activation. Because more you do, again, like I mentioned, the quality will be a very soft, white, beautiful, divine, feminine light coming in. And some are also calling actually or naming that kind of gateway like the moon chakra, yeah, because it's really connected more with this feminine aspect. And often when we are sensitive, when full moons are and so on, usually it's like the stimulation of this causal chakra, right? That you then either have stronger dreams or just, like I said, more sensitive or more emotional. That's all from that portal, which gets then actually more stimulated. And another thing is as well, what I want to mention, it's also called past life chakra, which is also very interesting because, again, when we are kind of leaving that space of the lower understanding, we can already slowly enter into this higher, which is, of course, already connected with the Akashic record gateway. So, and for those who don't know, I guess you all do, but still, the Akashic records holds all the information which we ever experienced or basically even still will. So this means it's a kind of record keeping, so it knows as well, if we want to name it now like that, what it's still looping, what still needs to basically learned, or what is already outdated, but because some belief systems we just don't see, it's already done, and you can just basically breathe it out, let it go, and move on. And that's why the stream will help to transmute more these harder belief systems which are still keeping you in loops. And if you're still being conscious or subconscious in those loops, then of course you can wish or want to have all these new things and life and ways, but it won't still happen. And then you are asking yourself why it didn't appear yet. I did already so much work. But again, Is it really already open and clear? Are you really already rather in this softer flow of actually beautiful crystalline light of your higher guidance? And this we need to ask ourselves, because if it's rather not